We're getting to that time of year where Premier League clubs are really trying to get new signings in, as many clubs are going on their pre-season tour this week to get ready for the coming season. So I thought, you know what? This would be a good time to do a very early Premier League predictions video. Now, I will do another video in 3 or 4 weeks' time, just before the start of the season, because I think in the next 3 or 4 weeks there could be a lot of business. And there's teams like Aston Villa that I assume will be in the race for Europe next season, but what have they done? There is teams like Newcastle United that I assume will be in the race for Europe next season, but they haven't signed a centre back. There's apparently some kind of drama of Izat, but I just don't know what to believe. Do you know what I mean? They missed out on Ekatike. It's hard to really do the predictions completely now because there's still a lot to do for a lot of clubs in the transfer window. But I thought, you know what? Let's do something different. Let's actually have a talk and see where we're at right now. And it'll be interesting to see how much it changes when I do my predictions again in about 3, 4 weeks' time. But we have to start with the bottom and we'll work our way up to the top. I feel like we've got to start with the relegation candidates. And why is Sheffield United in this? Why why have they got Sheffield United in here? I didn't make this, but it's Sunderland. Well, that was a great start to the video, but that has been updated. Luckily, I noticed that because I look like a mug had I started guessing Sheffield United. But look, this is going to be a really boring answer. Relegation. It's happened 2 seasons in a row. I feel like it could happen again. But the thing is, there is a few Premier League clubs that I don't think are particularly strong. And I do think all of these clubs have done good business. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. When I look at the transfer business of the sides coming up, it's quite good. Obviously, Burnley have brought in, Carl Walker, but they brought in Axel Tuanzebe, that's a very good player. Marcus Edwards coming from Sporting, Bashir Humphreys. Burnley have brought in some good players. I'm not going to deny that. I think Sunderland. I think Sunderland, for me, have brought in, some really interesting players. Habib Diarra of Strasbourg, Simon Andriga of Brighton. I think they've brought in some players. Enzo Lafay, making that a permanent. Like, I think, they've put in some very interesting players. But then I look at Leeds. I think Anton Stach is a really good deal. And so is Jaka Bajul. I think that's really good deals from Leeds. But we've just noticed the last few seasons that this step up just doesn't seem to work. Like, I'd say probably Burnley have done, I don't know if Burnley done the worst business. I don't know. I feel like I don't want to put Sunderland 20th because I really like Sunderland. I like Chris Rigg. I like a lot of the players they've brought in, but I'm trying to use sense. Like, I like Enzo Lafay. I like Chris Rigg. They've got some good players, Sunderland, but I'm trying to use sense in the fact that they went up in the playoffs, probably are the weakest. I'm just going to go Sunderland 20th, which I don't like to do because I really want Sunderland to step. I really like a lot of their players. Burnley 19th and Leeds 18th. I feel like that's what you have to do. Now, going into the next position, and some people have them for relegation, and honestly, I think losing Thomas Frank, losing Mbumo, Norgard, you could argue that one of these teams could stay up and Brentford could go down. But I feel like Brentford, a team that has been in the Premier League for the last 5, 6 years, has a lot of stability in the Premier League and still a lot of good players. Despite Thomas Frank definitely overachieving, despite losing Mbumo, they are run quite well. I think Brentford will not be great, but every time I feel like Brentford will go down, they don't go down. So I'm going to put Brentford in 16th, and then I'm going to put Brentford in 17th and Wolves in 16th. I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I've got Sunderland 20th, Leeds 19th. Burnley 19th, Leeds 18th. Brentford will go. I feel like, I don't know. I don't know what way around that meant to be. If that's Brentford 17th, should I put them there? I guess I put them there. I'll put Wolves 16th. Again, lost Cunha, haven't done a lot of business yet. They did massively improve under Gary O'Neill. So you could look at how much better Wolves got the second half of the season. And actually, if you look at their form in the back end of the season, could Wolves be higher? You could argue that because they ended the season quite well, a bit like Palace after a poor start. But I think they had a lot of very easy games at the end of the season, and they haven't done enough yet. But I could put them higher because I actually think Wolves have a better squad on paper than Everton. I think Wolves have a better squad on paper than Everton. But again, David Moyes, he ended the season really well with Everton. I think Barry's a good signing coming in for Everton. I'm going to put Everton in 15th. 14th place. This was a difficult one because I was looking at West Ham and I was looking at Fulham. Now, I think Graham Potter's a good manager, but I'm not fully convinced with what he's done at West Ham, if I was going to be totally honest. But I think West Ham have a good squad. And I think West Ham, surely you put West Ham higher up. Surely they're going to invest a bit of the Kudus money. Surely. So I look at it that way. And then I look at Fulham. Fulham, good manager, stable club, not really lost any key players, not really done anything yet. Do we put Fulham in 14th? Is 14th unfair to Fulham, considering they were quite good last season? Do we look at someone like a Palace and say, well, look, they're going to be in Europe next season, maybe we put them 14th? Do we look at West Ham and put them 14th, but then Graham Potter's going to get a full year to change things and some transfers and some Kudus money is going to be spent? There's a lot of things that could be factored at and a lot of things that could be looked at. And to be honest, I think I'm going to go, and this might feel unfair, but Fulham 14th. I think I'm going to go with Fulham 14th. And I think I'm going to go with West Ham 13th, if I was going to be honest. And then because they love 12th, Crystal Palace. Now, Crystal Palace, don't get me wrong, have a very good team. Adam Wharton, Eze, Mateta, Munoz is a fantastic player. Gay, they ended the season unbelievable, Crystal Palace. But I'm looking at this. Eze could go. Gay could go. They're also going to be in Europe, so they're going to have more games, so they're going to need a bigger squad. They should be in the Europa League, but I think they're going to be in the Conference League, which is very unlucky of them. And they just always finish 12th. So, I look at it in that way, and I just think it's quite safe to put Crystal Palace 12th. Now, bringing me into 11th, I've gone with, not 12th, sorry, 11th, I've gone with Bournemouth. Bournemouth have kept their manager, but they've lost Kirkes, they've lost Huijsen, they might even lose their other centre-back. They're keeping Semenyo, they're keeping players. There's rumours of Evan Nilsson to Man United. I don't think that will happen. Bournemouth were very good last season, but I did feel at times they got found out a little bit towards the end of the season. So for that reason, I'm going to put them 11th, which brings me into the top 10. If Nottingham Forest lose Morgan Gibbs-White, that is a massive loss. That is a massive, massive loss if Nottingham Forest lose Morgan Gibbs-White. Manchester United. Cunha and Mbeumo coming in are good additions, but there's still a lot of work to do. And then the other team is Brighton. The next three teams in my mind for this sort of, we've got 20th, 19th, 18th, 17th, 16th, 15th, Everton, 14th, Fulham, 13th, West Ham, 12th, Crystal Palace, 11th, Bournemouth. For 10th, I'm looking at Man United, I'm looking at Nottingham Forest, and I'm looking at Brighton. Man United should be finishing in the top 8, at least. But we're crap. And I'm saying that as a Manchester United fan. We are crap. Mbeumo and Cunha isn't just going to change everything. Manchester United, the reason I think Manchester United won't be 13th or 14th is purely because we're not in Europe next season. So I think the fact that we're not going to be in the Champions League or the Europa League and we've only got the Premier League to focus on says to me things should go better. Whereas Nottingham Forest, and this might seem harsh, but they're in Europe. They might lose Gibbs-White. They've lost Elanga. I'm going to put Nottingham Forest, and this might seem harsh, in 10th. And that might seem harsh because people said, how can you put Man United next season above Nottingham Forest? You're a biased Manchester United fan. Losing Gibbs-White and Elanga and gaining Cunha and Mbeumo and having European football, not having European football in the extra games, I just think Man United can't have a season outside the top, 2 seasons outside the top 10. We could. We're crap. Don't get me wrong. But I've gone with Nottingham Forest 10th, and I've gone with Manchester United in 9th. If Man United sign a midfielder, if Man United sign a striker, and if Man United sign a goalkeeper, I will put us above Brighton. I think I'm going to put Brighton in 8th. But then I'm like, they've lost João Pedro. Do I put Brighton in 8th? They've lost João Pedro. They did underperform a bit last season. They could lose Baleba. It just depends on the business. But I feel like I want to put Man United above Brighton. And I want to put Forest above Man United and Brighton now. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. You know what? We're going to go. We'll go Brighton 10th. Forest 9th. Well, I'm going to go Man United 8th. Am I crazy putting Man United 8th? This is Man United we're talking about. 8th place should be seen as an absolute disaster of a season. 8th place might be a good season for Man United next year. This is off the assumption that Man United do the business that needs to be done. I don't know. I feel like Man United are going to finish 10th. This is hard because I'm a Man United fan. This is hard. I can't put us above Forest. I can't put us above Forest, can I? Oh, it's shameless. I'm going to put us 9th and Forest 8th. I'm going to put us 9th for now. But if we sign a striker, midfielder, and goalkeeper, I'm putting us above Forest because Morgan Gibbs-White hasn't gone yet. He could stay. We're going to put Forest 8th. Brings us into 7th place. And I'm going with Tottenham Hotspur. I'm going with Tottenham Hotspur for 2nd place. 7th place. And people might be saying 17th to 7th. Are you crazy, Alice? 17th to 7th and Kudus is the only signing on the door. You might be saying, are you crazy, Alice? Okay. First of all, Tottenham for the last 10 games in the league didn't give a crap. I think if Tottenham gave a crap, they would have finished maybe 14th, 13th, which isn't much better than 17th. But you could tell they weren't playing. When Tottenham have their best back four fit, they're good. We saw Tottenham start the season well, and Tottenham actually have a better team on paper than Man United. We did the combined 11 for the Europa League final. They're actually a better team on paper than Man United. Thomas Frank, for me, is a better manager than Amorim. And I got a lot of shit from Man United fans for saying Thomas Frank's a better manager than Amorim. Okay, Amorim did brilliant stuff over in Sporting, but I feel like what Thomas Frank did with Brentford in the Premier League, in the most difficult league in the world, yes, he didn't get the trophies for it, but I feel like as a manager, I think he's better. And I got a lot of stick from Man United fans for saying that. They brought in Kudus, and he looks good. They got a young squad that's going to get better. They've got a good manager that's good at getting the most. The reason I think Tottenham are going to finish 7th is, okay, first of all, they might bring Morgan Gibbs-White in. Even if they don't get Morgan Gibbs-White, they went and they triggered Morgan Gibbs-White's release clause, bish, bash, bosh, 60 million. Tottenham have money to spend. They've been linked to Adam Wharton, they've been linked to Morgan Gibbs-White. They want to bring in another striker to back up Solanke. If Tottenham get a good number 6, Morgan Gibbs-White, and a backup for Solanke, those 3 signings, Gibbs-White, a good number 6, and a backup to Solanke, they can easily get back into potentially Europa League places. I honestly believe that. If Mickey van der Ven stays fit, and if they have Romero and Mickey van der Ven staying fit, Gibbs-White, a DM, and a Solanke backup coming in, you could Tottenham, I think, would get easy top 7 under Thomas Frank. I believe that, and that might be controversial, but that's how I feel. Continuing on, and this is difficult, but I don't think it would be fair to take Tottenham from 17th to 6th. That's such a big jump. So in 6th, I'm going with Aston Villa. The problem with Aston Villa is, what have they done? I feel like you signed somebody, didn't you? What have they done? This is when I upload this video, and then they've already signed like 3 players by the time I upload this video, no my luck. But what have they done? Like, they've got a good manager. They've got a good squad. They showed last year they could somewhat cope with the European demands. They're in a better financial position after selling the women's team. But I'm going to put them 6th off the basis of I believe they will do some business. I'm going to put them 6th. And I'm going to put Newcastle 5th off the basis that I believe they will do some business. Wait, 1 to 5 is Champions League. Okay, 1 to 5 is Champions League, which means, Tottenham are in Europa League. There you go, Tottenham. Forest are in the Conference League, where they should be. I'm going to put Newcastle 5th, because I think Isak will stay, unless Arsenal are planning something, and that's why they're not going for Gyökeres. And I think Isak's going to stay, and I assume they're going to sign a centre-back, and I assume they're going to sign another midfielder. I assume Newcastle are going to do the business that needs to be done, because they didn't sign anybody last summer for Eddie Howe. I'm not counting Sula. They didn't sign anyone for Eddie Howe last summer. I'm assuming they're going to get a Callum Wilson replacement. I'm assuming they're going to get another midfielder with some creativity, and I'm assuming they're going to sign a centre-back. They had the money for Ekatike. They've got money for 2 or 3 signings. I think Newcastle will do the business that needs to be done. So I'm going to put Newcastle 5th But then I do look at it and think, last time Newcastle in Champions League Europe, they had an injury crisis and they didn't have a good season. They didn't have a good season one bit. Like, there wasn't a bad season. They came 7th. So is 5th a bit high for Newcastle? We can argue that. But I don't think it's right to put Spurs higher than 7th when they finished 17th, despite actually thinking Spurs have a very good squad at manager. Nottingham Forest, I think, could lose Gibbs White. I think they've been found out a little bit. They struggled towards the end of the season. As much as I want to swap Man United and Nottingham Forest around, like, if I'm going to be totally honest, as much as I want to do that and put Man United in 8th, we haven't signed a midfielder. And we haven't signed a striker, and we haven't signed a goalkeeper, and they were the 3 most important positions. Despite Mbeumo and Cunha being great additions, I've got to wait and see what else Man United do. I think Man United I will be putting above. I think I will be putting Man United in 8th come my final predictions. But yeah, I can't put us any higher yet. Because we finished 15th, and we deserve to finish 15th. We tried in the Premier League, unlike Tottenham. Like, Amorim was trying for results in the Premier League, whereas Tottenham, like, Ange was just literally protecting Romero and Van de Ven. We were playing our strongest lineup. But I might swap United Forest. Going into the top 4 then, we've got Liverpool, Arsenal, City, and Chelsea. This is really difficult, this top 4. Because, again, I think Chelsea will be doing some mad business. Arsenal, I think, will be better off. Like, if we're talking right now, I'd put Arsenal 4th. Because Gyökeres isn't done and Eze isn't done. Okay, so Arsenal would be 4th. Because the 2 most important positions for Arsenal are left wing and striker. They haven't done that. So if I was going to be honest right now, I'd put Arsenal in 4th. But because I'm very confident Arsenal will sign Gyökeres and Eze, should I put Arsenal in 4th? Because I don't think if they sign Gyökeres and Eze, all of a sudden, they're not 4th for me. Like, as of now, without the signings, they're probably 4th, but they're not 4th for me yet. I think I have to put Chelsea 4th. I have to put Chelsea 4th, where they came last year. But it's difficult. Because I think Arsenal will get Eze and Gyökeres, and I think they're just a level above Chelsea. But I think Chelsea have done some very good business in João Pedro. I think Chelsea have the best midfield with Caicedo, Palmer, Enzo. I think Chelsea need to sign a centre-back, they need to sign a keeper, and they need to sign a top winger. So I'm going to put Chelsea 4th. I'm going to put Arsenal 3rd. Because I'm assuming, like, to be honest, if they get Eze and Gyökeres, I almost put Arsenal in 2nd, but they haven't got Eze and Gyökeres yet, whereas City have done a lot of their business. So I feel like I have to put City in 2nd, because they've done a lot of their business. They've got Reinders in, Rodri back, Reinders in, Cherky in, Nori's going to be a really good addition. I'm putting City 2nd. We all know he's 1st. I think most people will have them 1st. They won the league last year. Wirtz, Frimpong, Kirkes, Ekitike. Apparently they're still in for Isak. I don't know the truth in that. I'm skeptical. I don't really believe those stories. I think Isak will stay at Newcastle. Mark Gay to potentially come in. Rodrigo. I mean, I think that is it. I don't know. Do you know what I'm not happy about? First, I'm quite confident will probably be Liverpool, sadly. 12th, 13th, 14th, whatever. Like, you could argue Fulham's been done dirty a bit there. You could argue that, but whatever. This sort of Man United to Newcastle is difficult. Because Newcastle and Villa haven't done enough in the window yet. Tottenham have only got Kudus, but I'm assuming they're going to get Gibbs White, but they haven't done enough yet. But I'm going off the assumption that Tottenham, Villa, and Newcastle are going to do the business they need to do. I'm going off the assumption that Tottenham, Villa, and Newcastle are going to do the business they need to do. Forest, I think, will drop off. It will be interesting to see what United do. I think that's a safe bet. Someone might say is Bournemouth a little bit higher, but let me know your predictions. I'm going to do an update one in 3 weeks. Thank you for watching. Bye.